Alright, Middle-Aged White Guy Reacts back again today with another video for you. And in today's video, we got something a little different for you. This is not going to be music related, but this is definitely a topic that we cover pretty often on this channel throughout our reactions. We've actually went pretty deep onto this subject a few times. So if you've watched my channel, you know I'm a big fan of local elections. You need to vote in your local elections. You need to vote in for school board elections because these are the most important elections right now. Federal is important, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the power rests at the local level. And the problems that we have in this country are generational issues, okay? This is not like a couple of election cycles to fix these problems. These are going to take 10, 20 years or more, okay? It took that long to cause these problems. It's going to take about an equal amount of time to fix them. So it's important that we vote in our school boards to make sure that our kids are just simply learning at school and not being taught garbage ideologies, essentially, right? So I have said a million times, vote local, vote for school board. Okay. And I put my money where my mouth is. I vote local. I vote for school board. If any of you were paying attention the last year to Loudoun, Virginia, right? You know that the parents really pushed back on that school board and, there's a bunch of different issues and it kind of blew up, became viral. That started a firestorm across the country. My district was no different. Parents started finally taking a look at what was going on in the schools. They weren't happy and started pushing back. Now, just like in Loudoun, the school boards have been very dismissive of parents all across the country. They think like they're untouchable for some reason, like there's, you know, so they're special or like they're above us for whatever reason. So our school board was no different. Our parents laid out their lists of grievances and the school board did not take them seriously. Basically blew them off. You know the story. So when it was obvious that we weren't getting anywhere, you know, some parents gently reminded the board that, hey, you know, we voted you into these positions and we can vote you out of them. Okay. They didn't take that seriously. They didn't think it's possible. I don't know. So what had happened in my district, at least, is there was 2 seats open. Now, one was held by a 16-year incumbent that it was essentially like Nancy Pelosi. Okay, she's popular for whatever reason. She always gets reelected. So there was 1 seat to flip. And we flipped that seat. We flipped it hard. All right, it wasn't even a question. We smashed it. So we picked up 1 seat. Now we have 1 board member who represents the will of the parents on the board at this point. Now she is going against 6 other board members and a superintendent, or 5 other board members and a superintendent that are all aligned in the other direction. So I'm going to play this clip for you, and you'll notice that, you know, there's things going on. But where was I? So we got the seat. She's doing what we've asked her to do. But she's only 1 person, okay? So what had happened? Okay, here's how this clip starts. And this is heavily, not heavily, but this is an edited clip where I'm protecting the school's identity, I'm protecting, you know, people's names and what have you. So a parent had asked a question previous to when this clip starts. And that question does shine context into what they're talking about. But in order to protect the identity of some random parent, I decided to just remove that completely, and I'll just fill you in on what the question was, essentially. So backstory here. Here's what happened. The school sends out a list, a book list of the materials that are going to be used in the classroom. Parents got a hold of it and started going through the books and noticed some questionable materials. Now they're at this board meeting. So in the parents' eyes, book list came out, they read it, found bad books, school board meeting. Here's what happened from the school's perspective. Book list went out. Our board member started reading through the book list, just like all the other parents started to do, found the same books, brought it to the board's attention. They removed a book, and now they're having a meeting. So the most egregious book was taken out of this book list. But she brought 3 to their attention, and they only removed 1. So in this clip, you're going to see there's one main thing, you know, there's a very tense exchange, and it's weird because it comes out of kind of left field, and it doesn't really need to be tense at all. And you know, some other things happen. So there is that main issue of the tense exchange, which is obviously the bread and butter of this clip. But there's some sub-contextual things that are going on that kind of shed light on other things. And then there's actually covert operations that happen as well, and they're brilliant, and it was amazing to watch. So this is a really fun clip to watch. It's really weird, the tense exchange that occurs between the board member that we send up there and the president of the board. So I'm going to let you watch that, and then I have a little bit of commentary at the end. I'll tell you the subcontext that happens that points to other things going on behind the scenes. We'll talk a little bit about the main issue, and then the covert operations that were just amazing. So let's get into it. Let me find this clip for you. Okay. Here we go.
Madam President, I have a question for clarification. Ms. Parrott just had concerns over books that were transgender in part of our book list. And I went and looked at all of the books.
Okay, so this one on the right that's speaking now, she is another board member who understood the question that the parent was asking, and she kind of put together what had happened, okay? That, oh my God, they had that book list before we took that book off. So she's trying to clarify for the parents by asking the president about the book list. So she's going to ask a question, and then our board member is going to clarify kind of what happened, okay? So let's keep going.
And I believe, I just want to make sure that that's correct, that there are no books on transgender on that list. Am I incorrect in that?
I couldn't confirm that.
Okay.
Madam President, I personally also went through those lists, and I don't know if the entire board is aware of this, but there was one book called George, and it was very inappropriate and explicit. And so after I went through the list of books and physically went through it, I brought it up to and they reviewed it and removed that book because it talked about genitalia as well. So the whole committee though reviewed the book. So that book was in there, but is now not in that curriculum.
But that's not what the board was told about that book.
This is where it gets weird.
What was the board? Because I'm sitting here.
You got an email from Mr. about the committee reviewing that book.
And they said it was explicit.
And that it was removed.
That's what I just said. Yeah, it was removed. I looked through it. Nobody removed it until I brought it up to their knowledge. So I'm just saying, I think that book was in there while people were looking at the curriculum physically or looking at the list that was provided. And because of that, people were upset, which rightfully so. If you were to read the book yourself, I think you would be upset with it. It's not age appropriate, no matter which side you're on. There are other books in there. I think there's one called The Boy Named Queen. There's also one called Heather Has Two Mommies. That's for second grade, I believe. So there are books in there, just to clarify, that are in there that are targeted kind of towards LGBTQ.
Okay, so my understanding, excuse me.
That was important.
My understanding from what Mr. told us about that book was that it was not supposed to be on the list.
No, that was not my understanding at all.
You can believe whatever you want.
No, Miss, can you speak for yourself? Because I have the emails back and forth.
That was my understanding.
No, that's not. The only reason it was brought up was because I physically looked over that book.
We appreciate you bringing that.
No, Mr. Could you please?
Excuse me.
Address it. I'm for
We will
transparency.
convene this meeting if there's an outburst in the audience. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs.
I'd like him to speak as well, Mr. Because I believe in transparency and I do not like being called a liar.
I'm not calling you a liar. I'm talking about, excuse me. One more outburst and we're going to end this meeting. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying there's a miscommunication here. And I just thanked you for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, so can Mr. speak so we can just get this all out in the clear and everybody can move forward and...
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You did bring the book to our attention. The Literacy Committee did review that book and a couple of other books. That was the one book that was removed as it was not considered suitable for elementary level.
Thank you.
Notice he said a couple other books. Keep that in mind.
I apologize. I don't want you to feel like I'm calling you anything.
Thank you.
I believe there may have been a miscommunication. Regardless, the book has been removed and will not be in the classroom. I want to make that clear,
Thank you.
as I believe there was a miscommunication in the beginning. The book George will not be
Right.
in our book collection. It's not in the curriculum, and it's not going to be in the classroom. I hope everyone understands that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me put me back up. All right. So that was like a weird exchange, right? Like she was just simply saying like, you know, hey, I looked over those books, brought it to the board's attention, we reviewed them, and we removed it. And then the lady's like, but that book was removed. And she's like, well, yeah, that's what I said. All right, so obviously the whole exchange was odd. And what it points to, obviously, is there is a lot of animosity, okay? Remember what I said. She represents the will of the people, the will of the parents, okay? So there's a lot of animosity. And there's a lot of stuff I can't really get into that is going on behind the scenes there. So it's just funny, you know, she's simply trying to clarify for the parent, for everyone's sake, that, hey, that book was there while you guys had that list, but we took it out. And that lady, for whatever reason, didn't want to admit that the book was explicit. You know, she was trying her hardest, you know, trying to act like it was just a mistake and it wasn't ever supposed to be there in the first place. So she's, you know, trying to save her ass. Notice that the guy said you brought 3 books to our attention. You brought that book and 2 others. Notice how our board member said the name of 3 books. Okay, so those are the 3 books she brought. She brought George, A Boy Named Queen, and Heather Has Two Mommies to the board's attention. So the committee or the board or whoever decided that, you know, Heather Has Two Mommy and A Boy Named Queen is just A-okay for 2nd graders. We'll get rid of George, though. And the only reason George was removed is actually our board member threatened to read it out loud at the board meeting, and the board decided it would be inappropriate. Okay, a book for 2nd graders cannot be read to a room full of adults. That's, you know, outrageous. And I lost my camera. Hold on. This is just getting to be insanity. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can... Yeah, it's gone. It's gone for good. Okay, so we'll just finish up like this. Where was I? Crap. Oh, that doesn't look good. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so they, you know, she threatened to read that book, and they said, no, you can't do that. You're not reading that book at the meeting, blah, blah, blah. So they decided to take it out. They would not remove the other 2. So what does our board member do? She gives the parents a heads up. This is where the covert operations comes in. She names them by name and tells the grade level that they're for. So now all the 2nd grade parents know to look out for A Boy Named Queen and Heather Has Two Mommies if you don't want them reading about LGBTQ. Gave the topic, you know, so it was just amazing because they would never tell you that. None of those board members would ever tell you what is in those books. So not only did she say, hey, I got this one removed for you guys, these 2 others, they wouldn't remove, but go ahead and keep an eye out for it if you see them coming home with you or what have you. So it's just, you know, already paying dividends. Now, she is one person, okay? So she doesn't have, you know, voting power, really. You know, she can't flip a vote by herself, basically. We need more members. So as seats open up, I hope parents stay this vigilant, because if we can get 2, 3 more people on the board that are just like her, oh my God, so many issues are going to be fixed. So much stuff's going to be out in the open and transparent. This is exactly what you want from your school board. This is what you want from local elected officials. Okay, you want people who are going to be honest with you, who's not going to blow smoke up your ass, who's going to tell you, hey, yeah, this book was there. It was inappropriate because it talked about genitalia. You know, not like, oh, well, that was just an accident. That book wasn't supposed to be there. Anyway, it's not a bad book. It's a great book. You know, I mean, so it's just funny. It's funny. So there you have it. I guess that'll be the video. Like I said, there's a lot of shady stuff going on in this school system right now, in that school board, going on behind the scenes that I can't really get into. But we're fixing it here. Okay, we're going to fix it at the local level. We're going to vote our way out of that mess for that particular school board. And I suggest you guys start paying attention and do the same thing. Okay, we can take power back from these people. It's going to be a long, slow process. It doesn't happen overnight. They didn't gain all this power overnight. We're not going to be able to remove it all overnight. We got to start now, and we got to start with our children, okay? So, like I said, I thought this was a very important video to see. I'm the type of person who puts my money where my mouth is. I've been telling you to vote in your school boards and your local elections. I did. I got that lady elected, and... well, not me personally, but I voted for her. So we got her elected, and it's already paying dividends. And we're already getting the type of leadership on the school board that we want, even if it's just one person. So there you have it. That'll be the video. Middle-aged white guy is out. Peace.